Hi, all y'all. How you doing? Welcome, one and all, to the Revolutionary Wrestling Podcast, Year in Review 2023. Folks, it is I, the man of the hour, the man with the power, the man that makes the other podcast cower, the prince and potentate of the political parlance, the prince and potentate of punctuality. And I am joined this afternoon by my indomitable broadcast partner, which you can actually see with your own two eyes, did appear on camera after me. So technically, he's the one who's late here. The one, the only.
Your 15-time Revolutionary Wrestling Podcast champion, the quadruple distilled, non-chill filtered, Tony fucking G. You can find me on Linktree/Tony the Rod on all my socials, all my podcast iterations, and everything Tony fucking G. Folks, we are here finally to do the 2023 year in review. I know we're a little bit late, folks. We're already in 2024, but only by a week, so we're pretty much on time.
I was about to say, like, to our standard schedule, this is actually right on track here. But also, it gives us, because Tony, unfortunately, they did a wrestling pay-per-view on New Year's Eve that almost had some wrestle shit potential even.
Well,
so
it was the day before New Year's Eve, and it had wrestle shit potential.
Yes, exactly. It literally had the power to potentially change this event. And Tony, our year in review is usually a pretty involved thing here at the Revolutionary Wrestling Podcast here on YouTube and Spotify. Now, wait a minute. Speaking of things that we now know in 2023, the power within Glow Skulls goes, you guys think when Jericho breaks down the walls, it's into the women's locker?
Okay. Break the barriers down. Check out the girls in the shower. Step into the shower with all the women.
When he's doing this, do you suppose that's him like pulling the shower curtains apart? Like, break
absolutely.
The walls down? Or is he holding two NDAs in each hand?
He's going to rename the Lion Tamer the Cougar Tamer.
Well done. Tony, the Revolutionary Wrestling Podcast universe is really some of the best fans in all God's creation. So, Tony, this is always an involved thing between you and I. It's gotten. Oh wow, I'm sorry. NDA is Jericho. Keep them coming.
The Ayatollah of non-disclosure.
No, that's all you. That is Tony's. That is like the man of 1,003 NDAs. Damn. This is fun. This is good. This is good. I'm glad we're starting here. This is marvelous. So, God Almighty. So,
what does the demo god mean now? Jericho. I mean, what demo are we reaching for? I think we know. Now we know. Or says he's got a list of 1,000 women wrestlers he can't come within 100 feet of. Yes,
that's actually a better
Yes.
joke. I gotta give credit.
I
That's
like
a better
that.
joke. Yep.
I like that. Sky Blue.
Sky Blue. She
made
just
the
made the
list.
list.
I'd love to see that list. That's a good list. Let's see
The
that.
Jericho NDA list. So, folks, we just started our year in review just fucking roasting Chris Jericho down to his testicles.
Oh, I was going to do that at some point anyway.
And
sure.
by all reports, some of it sounds like it's deserved. I don't know. Like, I've only gotten like I've scratched this. Tony, do you mean to tell me that a wrestler has acted like a wrestler? I don't know what to say to you.
Phrase it quite like that.
Okay, because I don't know the full extent. I just know he's had a lot of chicks sign NDAs. So is it a little more than? Is it a little more than just like Kurt Angle started cheating on his wife at one point?
As far as we know, Jericho and his wife have an open relationship. Like, he apparently gets to harass other female wrestlers, and she gets to storm the Capitol. So I don't know. I guess that's the trade-off.
You know, Tony, every couple has their boundaries and things that work for. Are you fucking kidding me? Oh, no. It's okay. They're going to eventually get a divorce. I'm sorry. Like,
absolutely. Yeah, he was the reason that Kylie Ray up and left AEW.
And Tony, I'm
originally.
Somebody I was on a panel with a little earlier, who was just on with Alex Jones yesterday. Destiny. Like I always say that, like, the open marriages, they never last, because either one of two things happen. Either just through entropy, the two of y'all stop seeing other people, then you just kind of become monogamous by elimination, or y'all are just kind of fucking each other until something better comes along. And so that's how every open relationship always has and always will end. So, Chris, I wish you luck. God bless you. I hope the divorce courts are kind. Allegedly. But anyways, so moving right along, because Tony, we needed to riff on Chris Jericho and bury his ass. Don't worry, it's not like we're going to be put on Tony Khan's payroll anytime soon. That fucking check's going to start getting slimmer here real soon. But moving right along, the War of the Roses that you and I have, that is the Revolutionary Wrestling Podcast Year in Review.
Yes. We're here.
It's always something that we have some contention about. So before we get into the specifics, why don't you go over what are every single category this year, and then we'll start getting into it. Jericho's living the rock star lifestyle, and by rock star I mean he ran out of the Red Bull, so now he's getting drunk on rock stars and vodka at the hotel before the show.
Yeah, that checks out. So, yes,
be a rock star,
what we will be discussing and debating here tonight, obviously, we will be having the tag team match of the year, the women's match of the year, men's match of the year, women's wrestler of the year, if it would change, maybe. Let it go. Okay, whatever. Fuck it. Tag team of the year. Some of these are not coming up as I expected. The men's wrestler of the year. They're supposed to just be banners. Piece of shit. We will have the wrestle shit of the year. And the wasted talent of the year. And I want to start there. Let's start with the wasted talent of the year, Phil. I know who I'm picking.
I'm going to let you start this here, because I think this is going to be one that's going to have some discussion. But I'm going to let you go ahead here with wasted talent of the year, T.
So I think it's pretty cut and dry, very, very simple. And I wouldn't pick this person if I didn't feel like there was a massive opportunity that was just completely and utterly disregarded. You could make the case for a lot of guys in WWE for sure, but this guy's on the AEW roster, and I'm talking about Mark Briscoe. And essentially, he became a complete afterthought when he was called up to the roster. He was doing referee jobs, and anytime he actually had a singles match, he would do the job. And he finally comes back after a very long hiatus, and he's in this tournament for the Continental title. He won no matches, I think, maybe one match. And at the end of it, he was just going through the motions because everybody knew by Tony Khan's erratic Adderall-filled scoring system that he had no chance of winning, yet he was still expected to go out there and have these matches in this crazy tournament. So he had an opportunity with Mark to really put a singles run together. Obviously, we know why, the passing of his brother Jay. I understand not wanting to drive that home full force, but we're talking about someone who had a ton of sympathy, had a ton of love from the independent circuit, had a ton of love from the Ring of Honor crowd, and most of the AEW audience knew exactly who he was, and especially with the matches with FTR the year before. This would have been a great opportunity to establish a new, different single star. And they did nothing with him. And he's meant nothing since coming back. He was just a fall guy in the tournament. And that's not going to change in 2024. It's unfortunate because the guy's got a great look and he's great in the ring. And unfortunately, his ceiling was very low with what Tony Khan expected to do with him.
Okay, now, Tony, this is going to be a literal compliment sandwich because I'm initially going to give my original answer, which is going to very much disagree with you. But then because of what you've said, it's altered my answer, but way different from what you just said. So there's a two-parter here, okay? The first part is my original answer and also I got to say this, the power goes match of the year, Jericho's legal team versus police body cam footage.
I like it.
Nice.
That should be.
So I'm going to say
2024, yeah.
My original pick for Wasted Talent of the Year, and I'm dead serious with this, and I think it's definitely a runner-up because this was somebody that was able to pierce into pop culture mainstream in a way that most wrestling talent can't, and he actually became mimetic. For, I'd say, about 3 to 5 months, he was truly mimetic, and it was the man who was very nice, very evil, Danhausen. Yes. Wasted Talent. Now, Tony, I know you don't like the guy, but you know everything I just said is right.
You're playing hard with the word talent.
He is a personality. He is a character, and he pierced into
personality of the year. Sure.
It's a talent. He's a talent, like it or not. He can go in the ring, but when you said Mark Briscoe, I was like, okay, you're partially right. No, they should not have made him a singles star. No. They have a trios championship and they have FTR standing right there. The story writes itself. Give the trios championship to FTR and Mark Briscoe and let them just do what they need to do for the next 18 months, holding the title, giving them legitimacy. That's what should have been done with Mark Briscoe, but instead the Elite needed to just play, look at me walking around with my belt. So yeah, that's unfortunate. So I am going to agree with you that the wasted talent of the year is going to be Mark Briscoe, but for entirely different reasons, if that makes sense, sir. While you get that ready, Jeff Jarrett was wasted for bad comedy. I want my 2000s TNA Double J back. Ouch.
Yeah. It's more on that.
So, like, Tony, I understand like making him a single star could work, but the guy's been a tag act for so long.
I'm not saying he's got to be a world
that's
champion.
His draw.
He doesn't have to be a world champion. Here's the thing: AEW has literally scores of singles titles, scores, and putting one on him
like 6 or 7 world championships.
Yeah, it's an obvious choice. Even if
and didn't his brother win the Ring of Honor world title at one point?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's kind of another story that sort of writes itself a little bit.
And again, I got to reiterate this: a wasted fucking chance of bringing a company back from the dead. Ring of Honor. He bought Ring of Honor, and he's done nothing with it. And moving forward, they're essentially going to do shows on what, like pay-per-view internet. Never mind the fact that they've got Dynamite, Collision, and Rampage, 3 TV shows. Why the hell, if you're going to go forward with Collision, great. on Saturdays. But Friday Night Rampage, nobody's watching that anyway. And I understand the TV stations buy specific brands and whatnot, but
thank you, Power.
they've already got 3. Why could they not make Rampage Ring of Honor Rampage and feature the fucking titles on that show? Or at least say, okay, it's AEW Rampage, but this is the home of the Ring of Honor roster and the titles. It's very simple. You split it up that way, and that would give Mark Briscoe a chance to flourish with a singles run, or hell, even put like you said, the trios title. It writes itself. You're right. So it's a shame that you've got a guy who had tons of momentum, tons of fan support, and you do nothing with him except make him eat pins in a crazy, wacky, nobody can follow tournament. Am I
wrong? No, you're not. So Mark Briscoe, it is with a heavy heart that we give you the wasted talent of the year. Well, I don't have anything in my glass, but I'll raise it to you. You drinking anything, T?
I am sipping on a very simple. It's this is one I enjoy a lot, and I'm down to my last 2, so I brought them down. Salted Caramel Peanut Butter Amber Ale by Kincaid Brewing here in Nebraska. So it's delicious.
Nice.
It's a dessert beer.
Actually, the review of that you can find on K.O.E Nation on YouTube, folks. Hey, I'm nothing if not above shameless self-promotion, because I'm just trying to polish off this bottle here. I'm just going to do another Glen Cairn of some Little Sister Maker's Mark, because I'm in for the night. So, so T, the next, let me check here. Okay. We've got also the quad titles for men's is the EVP Super Best Friends 4-way title.
God.
No. Power. Shh. Don't give them ideas. No, I'm taking that comment off the screen because I don't want because Tony Khan will be like, another belt? Because Tony, tell me I'm wrong on this. The international title exists because someone showed him a pretty belt and he thought it was nice.
Well, the lineage of that belt couldn't be worse because we went from the All-Atlantic title featuring flags that had nothing to do with the Atlantic, rebranding it as the International or whatever, and then now it has become the Continental from this in the aftermath of this tournament. I just
you're half right title. Here. Tony's the Power says Tony's 2 biggest addictions is cocaine and belt leather. He's half right.
Maybe that'll
belt leather, like Tony, you do have a lot of belt leather around you, and you're wearing a cowboy hat, so they're assuming you're probably wearing a belt. These are all fair assumptions.
I mean, yeah, but
so I believe like Wrestle Shit of the Year would be I mean, it's kind of in the same vein, would you not say?
Well,
I'll let you DJ the next topic.
Let's go with all right, we can do Wrestle Shit of the Year. Let's talk about it. The worst match or the worst thing to happen in 2023. Sorry, I had worse match.
To me, this is pretty easy. All right. Truth be told, I have a feeling both of our matches, if they're matches, are going to be in the women's division, if I'm correct.
Yeah, and as I thought he was talking about Tony Khan. I'm like,
oh, okay. Because, I mean, we got Tony G here. He loves belt leather, but I don't like it.
I love belt leather. I think Tony Khan loves Adderall, but I could be wrong.
Yeah. So my Wrestle Shit of the Year is Chris Statlander versus Jade Cargill. A 40-second match that ended a 2-year winning streak.
That is a solid fucking pick.
Gotta admit, that's a good fucking pick. It's literally the match that ran Jade Cargill out of AEW and into WWE's arms.
This annoyed me because that pay-per-view specifically angered me more and more the more we watched it. And then the Jade match before that was actually decent. And I'm like, I like what they're doing with her. I think they just write it out and then literally 30 seconds later here comes Statlander and beats her in seconds in a match that was not advertised and meant absolutely nothing. And when they had the rematch, it was on free TV, not a big build-up, and then she left the company. This is proof right there that Tony Khan has sparks of ideas, but they're more like lightning bugs, and he cannot catch them in the jar. They just float away because once he has something, it escapes him very, very quickly. The trajectory of the idea is gone. And that was it was just a cherry on the top of a bad show that I didn't enjoy watching. So yeah, I got to give you that one. But
I think I know what you're going to pick too, but this is tough. So let me hear your pick, and then we can cuss and discuss.
So my
the power goes anything with Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal was the wrestle show.
Well, funny you should mention that. Because my pick for Wrestle Shit of the Year goes to this gem, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre match, featured on AEW TV between Jeff Jarrett and Jeff Hardy, with a special guest run-in by whoever the fuck this guy is, with a weed whacker chainsaw and a dollar store mask. The match itself is horrible. Never mind the fact that everything Jeff Jarrett has done in AEW has felt, as mentioned before, Jeff Jarrett 2000s TNA bad ideas, and he's surrounded by guys from TNA, and he's wrestling a guy who was featured heavily in TNA, and Jeff Hardy, and this Jeff Hardy strongly resembles the very, very, very not with it Jeff Hardy of TNA fame. This match was so fucking bad. It bears repeat. If you haven't seen it, I'd urge you not to, but it's almost artistic in how bad it is. And this appearance at the end to shill a video game.
A Texas Chainsaw Massacre match. Hey, Tony, we used to love it when Leatherface would show up in New Japan.
Well, no. So
it's just like, no, you don't get to fucking invoke that here.
No, you don't get to invoke that. So this was so fucking bad. It reminded me of everything bad about TNA. It reminded me of everything bad about Jeff Hardy. It reminded me so much of the WWE zombie match on pay-per-view where they were shilling a movie. That's what this was, but done somehow even fucking worse. Because the match was bad, the execution was bad, the cameo by Leatherface was bad, and everybody should just feel bad about it. Nothing about this said anything wrestling. This was just a horrible shill moment.
Ouch. Power goes to shill a video game that somehow has more players than AEW Fight
Forever.
You
go!
Oh.
There you go! Exactly. That drives that fucking point home. Thank you. They shilled a fucking game that, gets more play than their video game that took 5 years to fucking develop.
Ouch. That's fucking brutal. So, Tony, that's pretty shitty, but I don't know. Everybody still came to work the next day.
Why
I think I'm gonna have to push pretty hard for Jade Cargill to win the Wrestle Shit of the Year here between the two. I'm curious. Like, I understand this is bad. I understand it was horrible, but nobody really cared. Okay, Jade Cargill people cared. Okay, and it ended a 2-year winning streak, literally ran her from the company into WWE's arms. Now, for the industry, it's probably going to be unambiguously good when Jade Cargill starts making her TV debut. But yeah. So, Tony, tell me, is there any way to pull you to the Jade Cargill side of the force?
Well, this wasn't Jade Cargill's fault, first off. I mean, it wasn't.
It was all Tony Khan. Like, it's all Tony Khan. But unfortunately, it's the wrestlers in the ring that take the rap for his shitty booking. Just think of Eddie Kingston in the Exploding Ring match.
That was pretty.
Like, he will never get the stink of that off of him. and he did nothing.
Yeah. Wow. You're even giving Eddie Kingston credit for that. I'll be surprised. I'm surprised, Phil. That's
like, don't get me wrong. He still sold it like a doofus, but anyways.
Well, how else would you? All right, look. This Leatherface cameo, it was hands down the worst thing that happened on a screen in wrestling, in my opinion. But yeah, I'll give you this one because Jade versus Statlander. Everything that I hated about that show was encompassed in one lazy booking, snap of the finger decision, and nothing came of it. Nobody was better for it. It was just bad booking, and people can make any argument they want. Well, they needed to take the belt off. No, they didn't. They absolutely didn't. And I'm not saying she needed to plant her foot. No, you can't take the belt off me, or I'll leave. That's not what happened.
Nah, she should have just left the belt and walked out. She would have been much better off for it.
Everybody would have. And here's the thing. She realized while she was there, I'm not getting the training I need. I'm not going to elevate my craft here because nobody's teaching me anything because the people teaching me don't know what they're doing. And that's why she's left for WWE. And that's why you have not seen her because all of the greenness that they were holding over her head, it wasn't changing. Because there was nobody there that could help her. She's going to get the help she needs to become a much better in-ring performer, hands down. She already has the look and the persona. Now it's just fine-tuning the in-ring. And I'm hoping that maybe we could see that in 2024 tenfold. So hopefully this will be something better that comes of it. But yeah, the match itself, it iced a bad pay-per-view in my opinion. So I'll give you that one.
Well, Phil K.O.E. with a victory. I'll take it, folks. So, Tony, Chris Statler put the A in AEW. Jericho is innocent. Oh, man, Walrads.
Innocent of what?
You would not be liking what Power here has been saying earlier, like, NDA is Jericho, or he's got a list of 1,000 women wrestlers he can't come within 100 feet of. So, I mean, like, Wallard or Walrads, it's going to be an interesting show for you. I'm looking forward to it. So, Tony, what is our next category, sir?
All right, so let's start with this one. We're going to go with the tag team of the year. And this one's very bittersweet. This one's very, very bittersweet for me. I'm going to keep it as short as I possibly can because the tag team wrestling in 2023, I'll just say it was pretty much abysmal. And I'm not saying all the matches were bad because there were some really good matches. But the booking of tag teams in 2023 across the board in AEW, in WWE, NXT, SmackDown, Raw, AEW, Collision, Dynamite, whatever, across the board, there wasn't anything that stood out. And even the best tag teams, it was just bad booking across the board. Nothing stood out. And it was just highly disappointing because I really thought, you know, after last year, with what the Briscoes and FTR did, the stuff with the Bloodline, Owens and Zayn, the Usos, you've still got the New Day. I mean, there's still very, very valuable teams out there and up-and-coming teams. And you've got a ton of guys on the roster, especially in AEW, that could really make an impact. Like the Guns, I love them. The Acclaimed had a lot of momentum at one time. But not everything just fell off. Everything was just underutilized, and it really just it was a bad year, in my opinion, for tag team booking. So, in a nutshell, this is me trying to recover from last year's awful, terrible, no good, very bad decision that you and Chicken made to give the Usos tag team of the year because it should have been FTR, and it was FTR, and they had a better year and a better resume. So, by default, and I'm not saying this only because of this, but because I think they had the best year, FTR is my tag team of the year.
Now, before I get to that, I will just say that my pick for tag of the year is one that it's not the first one that comes to mind, but the more you think about it, it's undeniable, and that is Hookhausen.
Thanks, everybody, for seeing Phil K.O.E's last appearance on the Revolutionary Wrestling Podcast.
Sorry, couldn't help myself. Oh, yep. All right, I couldn't help it.
You
But
are
no,
a horse's ass.
yeah, I just knew, like, just fuck you. Just like, yeah, oh yeah, hook out. I'll get to that.
Yes.
Usos last year
FTR,
was,
they didn't shit the bed in the ring or injure anyone, shooting my shot like cash. Yes, exactly.
Usos last year were
cash.
Usos last year were riding the bloodline wave, and that is pretty hard to resist. I mean, the tribal chief. I mean, Tony, Roman Sammartino, dread it, run from it, but he still arrives all the same. So so
very soon, Phil.
As you said, like, even some of the people that you would want to nominate for tag team of the year, like, even if, let's be honest, first 4 months of the year, Usos had a great year. One of the best years in a tag team's
team anymore, though.
Exactly. They're like, they didn't even make it to SummerSlam as a team anymore. And so it's not, I'm not giving it by default, but it's just because their work was so consistent. I have to agree with you and give it to FTR.
Again, it wasn't the run that they had in 2022, because again, you can watch last year's. I ran down their resume in 2022, and it was just littered with the who's who of teams that weren't in WWE, and it was amazing. I mean, they even had the Rock and Roll Express in there, for fuck's sake. Like, it was amazing. They had a great resume. And this last year, even though the booking was somehow way, way worse, they managed to have a pretty solid string of matches in spite of it. And here's the worst part. They got stuck in so many multi-man tag team matches with furniture and ladders, and they were somehow able to overcome all that and work their style in spite of that. It's a true testament, and kind of showcases that they have been the most consistent tag team. Maybe
I was about to say, they've been winning tag team match of the year and tag team of the year at the Revolutionary Wrestling Podcast for years on end now. I think, like, Tony, one of these times you should probably try to compile just all the awards that just FTR, because, like, you and I, when we first started this podcast, we were huge marks for AJ Styles, but like, he has not been able to keep up the same level of body of work that FTR has.
Well, AJ Styles, you know what I mean? He's officially been in WWE, I believe, longer than his entire TNA tenure, if you can believe that now. And he said 2 or 3 years ago that he was going to start winding his career down. And he hasn't exactly done that. And he did just come back from an injury, but it's like that you say you're going to start winding down, and then it comes time to do that. You're like, yeah, I don't need to do that yet. I'm still in really good shape. Christ, look at AJ Styles. He looked like a beast when he came back the other day. So,
but yeah,
FTR's,
but Styles
FTR though is also going to hit that point, is my point. And when that does happen, they're still going to be one of the most consistent teams that you can have featured on a show. And
now
I love both of their work.
Let me just say here, Mind of Z goes, hey, wrestle friends. I was at World's End, and I think we were too. Like, yeah, we were there for Royal Rumble 2020, or no, that was Worlds Collide. Sorry,
Worlds Collide.
Never mind. Sorry,
one they had the other day.
Same with Randy Orton. He came back looking nice.
Yeah,
nice.
AJ looks like a fucking monster. Holy shit!
So, tag team of the year, FDR with, I would say, Hookhausen, coming right up, like they're nipping at their heels. We'll see.
You know what's even funnier is no mention whatsoever of the Bucks, because they had a terrible 2023 and they've never been colder. I mean, have they?
When they did the exploding super kick, I just kind of tapped out. Like, I just stopped giving a shit. I'll be honest. When the exploding super kick happens, like, okay, fuck you. Just fuck you. And guess what? It was a fucking 2 count, I think. I think
there you go. They literally took the ECW joke. You can blow your opponent up with a hand grenade and get a 2 count. And they did.
And so, yeah, at that point, I was like, okay, I just don't really give a shit about a Bucks match anymore.
For me,
I know
it
that
was
that's
the,
terrible because they still had one of the best tag team matches in a very long time when it was them versus the Lucha Bros in that tag match. But, well.
For me, it was the triple threat where they and Kenny Omega successfully performed an imaginary invisible Hadouken that the other team sold.
Yeah. Okay, Power, you have to understand, I've always been a defender of the Elite until that super kick. I was like, okay, fuck you a little bit. Tony has been shitting on the Bucks from when they were the youngest of Bucks, from before Balding Buck even started balding. Tony was not on board. Okay, like he has been definitively.
The thing about the Bucks right now is they put themselves in a position where it's become a novelty. They didn't really do anything in 2023. And I mean this, and I'm saying this objectively. They did nothing of like severe importance in 2023, and that's fine if their lot last year was to get other people over. But I really didn't see that from them either. There was no real consistency. I've been shitting on them since Generation Me. I was there at the ground floor with them in TNA as Gen Me, and I actually enjoyed their work because it was different at the time. But it's never evolved since then. I think that's probably my big gripe with them. They're still Generation Me as a whole.
Okay.
But with the AEW audience right now, when they come out, there's no real clamor. There's no real pop for the Bucks. It's just like, there they are. Like, even their fans don't give a shit when they're on screen. So they're ice cold right now, in my opinion. And I don't know that a heel turn or a face turn is going to make a big difference. So, dude. Everything you just said, Motor City Machine Guns and Beer Money, their fucking best of 7 series was some of the best tag team wrestling that's happened since 2000. My God, that series was incredible. But I digress. So yeah, the Bucks.
Before we move onward and upward, though, I think we can actually address this fairly quickly here. The Mind of Z goes about, what about Judgment Day as tag team for Finn and Priest, or is that later for fact? Now, we normally don't do Faction of the Year, but I think let's just kind of touch on that a little bit, right. T, because I'm quite curious myself. I've got a pretty easy. I've got mine is pretty easy, and I know they're not fully in the same form that they were at the beginning of the year, but to me, undisputedly, the faction of 2023 would still have to be the Bloodline, because they walked into WrestleMania with the tag team championships and the undisputed championship, and they walked away with at least half of it. And so to me, Bloodline is still your faction of 2023. Tony,
2023 saw the Bloodline essentially lose Sami Zayn and Jey Uso, and what's left, they keep teasing a more dissolution heading into
They've
now.
Got a thumb left, T. They've got Roman, Paul Heyman, and a thumb.
That's about it. Like, it's not the same. The Bloodline's not the same. For me, the Judgment Day has been the most consistent. And
but consistent isn't good. It's not impact making.
They have been good, though. Every time they're on the screen, I actually do enjoy seeing them. And
okay,
I would be fine if Finn Balor up and
Tony,
left.
We all like looking at Rhea Ripley. Okay, that's not that's.
And I like Dominic Mysterio's heel work is fantastic right now. I love everything Damian Priest does. I love Lord Farquaad being the fucking little toad that gets bounced. I'm sorry, JD McDonough, whatever. And honestly, I do enjoy everything. And I've been saying this since, I want to say, God, what event was it where they really just went absolutely nuts with Edge and Beth Phoenix? It was some seriously good heel work. Like, they gave Beth the concerto. My God, since then, I've been
Mind of Z goes, if you look how Judgment Day has been more consistent, look at War Games, Payback, Backlash. They've been great.
Yes, agreed.
Thank you for being fair to Jericho. I believe in innocent until proven guilty. And that is perfectly true. Now,
absolutely.
We might make a few jokes along the way, but yeah, innocent till proven guilty and all that stuff. But okay, Walrad's Mind of Z and the Power. I'm going to leave this up to you guys. Your choices are Judgment Day or the Bloodline. I'm going to let you guys vote. Let us know in the comments who you choose for faction of the year between Judgment Day and Bloodline.
Give us
Sorry,
your opinion,
AEW,
we'll let you pick.
AEW, you couldn't keep it straight for a week as to what faction you were making. So yeah,
I can't stand factions in AEW most of the time. There's usually no rhyme or reason to it, and the Blackpool Combat Club is one of my worst factions ever.
Okay, so thus far we've got oh shit! Yes! Okay, Mind of Z went Judgment Day. Walrod went Jokes Are Okay, thank you. And then Tony, by the hair of its chinny chin chin, the power goes with Bloodline. And Walrads goes with the Bloodline.
All right.
So Tony, democracy has won the day. Okay, and so yes, Walrad's AEW is a mess. So yes, the faction of the year. You will acknowledge the 2023 faction of the year. Oh yes, I'm sorry, but it's still some of the best long form storytelling WWE's done.
Oh, agree. Their storytelling for the Bloodline has been fantastic, but I mentioned this the other day. Well, yeah, Paul sells it, of course, but they're really
he's backstage protecting them.
They're struggling right now to drag this out as long as possible, and it made for kind of a, I don't want to say boring 2023 because the Bloodline's one of the best things on TV. But man, it got a little stagnant there, up and down a few times, but it's still always good because Roman's in another class right now. Paul's always good, and I love Sikoa and Jimmy right now. So yeah, good stuff.
Alrighty, T, I'm going to let you decide what is the next topic. And folks at home, if there's any other great topics like that you're curious about, fire it off, man. That was fun. But I'm going to let you decide the next topic du jour for our 2023 year in review, sir.
All right, let's go with the women's match of the year. And I've got really one nominee here.
So do I. Well, okay. Two really, but one that I'm winning out here.
Oh, by all means, if you've got two, I'm all ears. What you got?
Well, the one that's a lot of people are going to say, and I think this is the runner-up of the year, is Rhea Ripley versus Charlotte Flair at WrestleMania. Okay, that's what most people are going to say as match of the year, but there's one that they're forgetting, and that's Bianca Belair versus Io Sky in Puerto Rico. If you haven't seen this match, it was the fans just decided Bianca Belair was the fucking heel. Okay, I gotta go. And anything Io Sky did, like if she just flipped some sweat in the direction of Bianca Belair, they were cheering for it like it was the greatest thing that had ever happened in all of Puerto Rico. Every time Bianca Belair even looked at anyone wrong, they acted like it was a 1,000-year reign of darkness is about to descend upon us all. You no good, rotten rapscallion there. Like, it was some of the greatest crowd reaction in 21st century wrestling. I don't know if we'll ever be able to replicate anything like that ever again. And so that's why my nominee for 2023 Women's Match of the Year is Io Sky versus Bianca Belair in Puerto Rico. See?
Okay. Real quick. I want to say they did Sky Blue versus Toni Storm, but I don't think it was in the current Toni Storm. I don't remember. God, I thought they did, but I can't remember.
Now,
worst women's match has to be the triple threat at SummerSlam. That was fucking bad.
Now, you missed it. We actually gave that Wrestle Shit of the Year to Jade Cargill versus Chris Statlander. 42nd match to end the streak. But mine is Z. Also, AEW is a mess because of Tony, because he's too ignorant to listen to others, because Tony says it's what's best for business when it really isn't. Okay, and
says Puerto Rican crowd made that match of the year. Bizarro world match with investment. More real investment, unexpected. And look, I can't disagree. That was a great fucking match. I loved it. It was one of the best female matches of the year, hands down. I loved it. But, Phil, I'm going to remind you of things that you reminded me of when you told me that my match was not men's match of the year a little while back, when I tried to tell you it was Roman Reigns and Drew McIntyre. You're like, well, crowd reaction doesn't make the match, Tony. And I'm going to tell you the same thing right now, because the match of the year, with the lasting implications and the bigger stage feel, and if more people saw it, then that's the best match. Your words only, Phil. The best match of the year in the women's division was Rhea Ripley and Charlotte Flair, hands down, because it had more implications. It had a bigger stage. More people saw it. Both of the women are actual stars. Not taking anything away from Bianca or Io, because Bianca's right there and Io has a lot of potential too. But this was the match of the year in the women's division.
I'm going to put it this way, T. Walrad, Mind of Z, The Power. You've got, now granted, Tony's got a lot of reasons to back up what he's saying here. This is at WrestleMania. It's for the belt. Big match. I'm curious what you guys' thoughts are. Can you persuade me in this direction? Do you think it's Io Sky versus Bianca Belair or Ripley versus Charlotte Flair at WrestleMania? And while I eagerly await your replies, I'm going to read the Mind of Z. Backlash in general was the best show of the year. The crowd popped for Bad Bunny. The Bianca match, Cody Rhodes coming out at that show was just banger after banger after banger after banger. So yeah, that's kind of what I'm getting at here is it was, that one was more of a happening. Okay, like it's okay. We got one vote for Io versus Bianca. Walrads and The Power, it's in your hands to make this, to persuade me. Let's see, because Mind of Z, I think we're of the same mind on this one. But Tony, granted, I think Rhea's going to be getting some awards a little later, but we'll see. Oh, The Power, Bianca crowd was fucking amazing. So I'm democracy.
Oh.
Io versus Bianca was women's match of the year with honorable mention runner-up of Rhea versus Charlotte. Okay, like that was my second match. Okay, give me that. I thought about trolling you and go women's match of the year: Ronda Rousey versus Shayna Baszler. MMA.
God,
that was almost wrestle shit, but now Jade versus Statlander was way worse.
No, this, yeah, go ahead. Or go ahead with that.
Flair and Ricky drew more money. The match of the year is Sky versus Bianca. You're right. You need no persuasion. Oh, thank you, Walrad. So it was unanimous. It was unanimous. But no, Tony, you made a good case because it's WrestleMania. Flair and Ricky.
The thing is, I probably had a lot more extra expectations for that Charlotte Rhea match just because when they had to do the COVID match at WrestleMania, that was meant to be like an absolute banger, and it would have been had it been in front of a crowd, and that really would have put Rhea on the map. Still better than
it deserved to be.
Oh, it was a fantastic match, but hear me out.
Because it felt like two people having a one-on-one basketball game without people watching.
It had the unfortunate task of being the opening match of night 2 in an empty arena after a really long night 1. And we didn't give it a fair shake, and it was a fantastic match because I had to go back and rewatch it because I'm like, man, that should have been better, and it was. So
I just
when they did the rematch, it met my expectations. It was what it needed to be. But yes, Io and Bianca came out of nowhere, and it was a fantastic match. So I will even concede this. Yes, Io Bianca at Backlash, fucking banger of a match, and the crowd sold this one.
All righty, T. Well, let's move onward and upward to the next topic du jour because yes, Io, Flair and Ripley drew more money. The match of the year is Sky and Bianca. You're right. You need no. Thank you. But I mean, you were correct. It drew more money, and like that's one of those I do stand corrected. Okay, T. Still documented to be right. Phil K.O.E. 99.6% of the time. So,
well, in that case, let's go with the tag team match of the year next, because this one's going to get
bit heated.
messy. Yeah.
Okay, because I feel like all the arguments that we just made for our matches there is about to do this, T.
Yep.
Like, because
Exactly.
let's just rip the Band-Aid off. My nominee for Tag Team Match of the Year, because of the way it made me feel and how it just brought me on the emotional roller coaster. The main event of WrestleMania Night 1, the Usos versus Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn for the undisputed WWE Tag Team Championships of the world. My God. Yes, it was incredible. You were there. I was there. We all saw it. We all felt it. It was an amazing event. So, Tony, what was better than that?
So here's the deal. I've seen dozens of better Usos matches than that one. In my opinion,
yes, with the New Day usually.
That one, yeah, it was. That one didn't exactly live up to the expectations I had for it. And I don't know that it met everybody else's either. Honestly, it was fine as a tag team match. It had great crowd support. It was the main event of night 1. Yeah, congratulations to the Usos for finally getting that. Like, holy shit. And a tag team match in the main event at Mania? Fantastic. Well deserved for everybody. But it didn't really burn the house down like I expected it to. And I don't know. It wasn't what I wanted it to be, and it had the right ending and everything. It didn't get there the way I wanted it to get there. So the Power nails it, because for me, it's not even fucking close.
Oh.
This, hands down, is not even remotely debatable the tag team match of the year. And sorry, I'm not backing down on this one. It is FTR versus the Bullet Club Gold, 2 out of 3 falls. This is prime FTR. This is FTR-esque FTR when they were doing it versus DIY in NXT, burning the fucking house down. But they're doing it against the Bullet Club Gold. And these guys put on a fucking clinic of tag team wrestling.
Okay, this guys, this is another one. I'm curious. Mind of Z, the Power, Wallrads. What are your thoughts on this? Because, that is a good one. That is
no, it's a great one, and Mind of Z says it right here. It was a great match.
That was
and I want to see it all the time. This was the best tag.
So, like this one really is what's more important to you in your wrestling, the sizzle or the steak? And like, I'll be honest, for the tag team division, I kind of generate more towards the sizzle, and Tony's more the steak. So I'm curious, guys, which FTR Bullet Club Gold or the Usos versus the, as Jim Cornette would probably call them, the indie darling pains in the asses, Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. Oh, okay. The Mind of Z is voting third party, Tony. Okay, see what this does when you don't vote for the two main parties.
No, that was a fine match. I have nothing against that at all. But between the Bullet Club Gold versus FTR and the Usos versus Zayn and Owens, what would everybody pick?
In my life, I've never seen tag team wrestling headline a major pay-per-view. I've only heard of it happening. That was the first time I've seen that. To me, I'm sizzle. Make me feel. Wallrads might be coming my way. All right, but you got to be clear, because Mind of Z is voting third party, so he's not going to be able to help this now. Mind of Z, you can change your mind.
Come over to me.
And Power, we want to hear what you got to say. Match. The fact Jay pinned Roman changed the rest of the year regarding Jay. They didn't pin Roman. They were okay. He's got Tony. I think he's going to be dedicatedly third party on this one.
Well, I'm telling you, he already said himself this was a great match, and
Tony, the Power with the early voting coming in for the Power. Mind of Z is stating third party. Mind of Z might be helping FTR. Like, you know what? No, I want to help FTR, but I'm also voting my match.
So we've got Walrad's votes for WrestleMania.
Maybe.
Powers voting for AEW, I believe Collision that was on. Now, we need the Mind of Z. And the Mind of Z, you said it was a great match. Now, just keep in mind, FTR has already won here tonight, Tag Team of the Year. The Usos are not even a tag team anymore. Owens and Zayn lost the belts. FTR, the tag team of 2023, will probably have the belts again here in AEW very soon because that's what they do.
Oh, man. Walrads came in for me first bloodline tag match. The fallout was horrible story-wise, but they built up to that moment and had me invested. I waited. I wanted that to main event. They made me want it before I even saw it. So Walrads agrees with me, but in the very end, third party comes back. And yeah, it's...
Yes.
Oh, our Mind of Z comes back, and he comes in heavy for you, in favor of you, T-Dog. And so, man, another FTR year-end award from the Revolutionary Wrestling Podcast. That's 2 this year. And there's been at least 1 every year.
That does make up for last year's slight of them being the tag team of the year, which they were in 2022.
Are you fucking kidding me? No, now it's even more fitting because it was the last year the Usos were a real tag team. And so, full year. And so it was fitting. It's kind of like when it was kind of sad when we gave it to the Bar.
Oh, because, man.
It's like, now granted, Sheamus was still able to squeeze like 8 more years out of his career. But yeah.
Boy, that was sad because there really wasn't a strong crop of tag teams, and Cesaro and Sheamus weren't a team I wanted to see, but when they got cooking and they really established themselves, man, they were the best team in WWE, and AEW I don't even think was a thing yet, so it was kind of it was bittersweet because they broke up right after that. It was unfortunate.
Yeah.
So I always wanted to see that reunion.
FTR versus Bullet Club Gold tag team match of the year, and all y'all in the comments, all y'all in the crowd. Thank you. This has been because like Tony and I sometimes get to these because I was not going to give up on that WrestleMania tag match, but y'all had to tell me, and we listen to the Revolutionary Wrestling Podcast universe. So, all right, Tony, moving onward and upward.
Absolutely. And I'll just remind you right now, folks, if you are watching on Twitch, Facebook, or what are we on? Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and I think D Live even tonight.
Nice.
If you're not already, hit subscribe on the Big Bucket Empire or the Revolutionary Wrestling Podcast, wherever you might be watching, please, because that's what keeps us alive, folks. That's what keeps us going. So we need all the subs and the follows we can get so we can build back up in 2024.
Or you could even head on over to K.O.E Nation on YouTube and subscribe to us. Like, fuck you, you have enough subscribers. Go fuck. Like,
fuck
okay.
You, Phil. Yeah.
No, dude, do check out K.O.E Nation. Got a lot of fun stuff coming in this new year, including more of this. But so, Tony, moving onward and upward to the next topic.
I think, honestly, there was one I wasn't going to do, but they've already mentioned it, and it kind of has to happen. This one was mentioned, and I'm just going to say it. The event of the year was WWE Backlash in Puerto Rico.
Yep.
There wasn't a better crowd,
no pushback.
Start to finish. The matches, everything across the board was absolutely fantastic. It had an energy.
Now wait, Tony, is this Backlash or Backlash WrestleMania?
Stop it. Just stop it.
Or WrestleMania.
Oh my
Backlash.
God. I can't stand when they do that shit.
Yeah, don't you feel dirty saying it?
I do.
Like you're
cheapening it, and I hate it. I hated everything about that. But no, this one was so fucking good. The matches, I just want to again reiterate: Bianca Belair defeats Io Sky in an absolutely fanatical crowd. Seth Rollins defeats Omos, which was better than it deserved to be somehow. Austin Theory defeats Bobby Lashley and Bronson Reed in a triple threat for the U.S. title. That was a short one, but they got a lot in, and it was a really interesting dynamic. I loved that match, and I didn't expect to. I thought that one was going to suck. I thought Theory would just bounce around, but no, it was a good match. And then Ripley defeats Zelina Vega wearing her country's colors. The crowd was loving her. She was emotional. That was a fantastic match. Bad Bunny defeated Damian Priest, which you would think would be ridiculous in a San Juan street fight, but it was good. It was fantastic. It was a good storytelling match. I loved it. The bloodline of Sikoa Usos defeat Riddle, Owens, and Zayn in a 6-man tag. That one was a long, drawn-out affair, and it didn't really slow down at any points. Good match. And in the main event, Cody Rhodes defeats Brock Lesnar by pinfall. This was just that was a great match. I loved that match. Their trilogy was one of the surprise hits of the year for me, and that match kind of capped it off. That was a great main event for a great show.
Mind of Z. That match was match of the night. Bad Bunny versus Judgment Day.
Yeah, I couldn't believe how good that was. God, I'll give Bad Bunny a lot of credit.
So silly.
He's been good in about everything he's done on screen.
Like, you know, when there's a match that you hate how much you love it.
Yep, that was everything he's done is one of them.
That was that was what I hated, how much I loved it. Okay, that's the best way to describe it. But alrighty, moving onward and upward, because some of these are going to be a little more uniform, I have the feeling.
So we've got 3 categories left here. Women's Wrestler of the Year, Men's Wrestler of the Year, and Match of the Year. What direction do you want to go?
Match of the Year's last. Okay.
Match of the Year's last.
Women's Wrestler of the Year.
Okay.
Okay. Right. Do we want to say it on 3?
Well, why don't I just go ahead and put it in then, because I don't think there's going to be any pushback whatsoever.
We all know that this was the year of Mommy. Okay, this was Rhea Ripley, Julia Hart.
Julia Hart and all of her dark matter, black energy, and the controlling of the lights. Yeah, had to be Julia.
Yeah,
God damn it.
I mean, she's best teleporter this year.
She is one of the better teleporters. I'll give
but yeah, it's Mommy. It's got to be Rhea Ripley. It's literally the entire WWE universe's waifu, Rhea Ripley.
She had a great look in NXT. She had an even better look when she finally debuts on the main roster, and she's just kind of done Undertaker level of elevating that look. She just gets more and more badass in her look every time you see her. And she's just got such a great presence. And her in-ring work is fantastic. She's got size, speed, power, the look. It's the total package.
Tony,
she is hands down the best female on any women's roster in any wrestling company.
Oh, yes, absolutely. But when you're talking about how she makes the look work, this was some fashion advice I gave my kiddo about a year ago. Is that some women will look good in sackcloth and ashes. Okay.
Oh,
like some of the old monks, when they did bad, they'd make them wear these sackcloth robes and ash of cross on their forehead. And there's some women that will look banging in that. Okay. And yeah, Rhea Ripley's one of those people that if she had, all right, Rhea, you come out in sackcloth and ashes. People be like, sackcloth and ashes is really a pretty cool look, man. She's really pulling off that sackcloth and ashes look. And so, yeah, Rhea, like, she's just one of those people that she can pull off any look. And so she's really making it work. And she's got all the momentum. She's got, like, and again, kind of like what I was saying about Danhausen, she's pierced into the mainstream pop culture. The way she pins opponents.
Oh, yeah.
Is now a TikTok.
Oh, yeah. It's incredible. She knows how to do the little things because it's attention to detail.
The little things.
It's the attention to detail that makes a great performer a great performer. You can be good, but to be great, it's the attention to detail. It's the little things. It's the way that Hulk Hogan knew he had to call the ear to each side of the ring. It's the way that Kevin Owens put his little finger on the rope to break up the pin count against Jericho. It's Rhea Ripley pinning her opponents in a very ludicrous way, but it's the visuals. It's what people remember, and she's so good at it.
And like, here's another thing, Walrads, and he brings up something, but it's even a little deeper than this. He goes, even her subtleties in Survivor Series, taking shots at CM Punk, only captured by fans' cell phone videos. She's a level above, and what she understands, and the greats of this era now understand that every fan is a cameraman.
Yeah.
Okay, like they can say we're going to take your shit, but it doesn't matter anymore. Every single fan is a cameraman, and so she treats that there's an angle of a camera on her in all 360. It's not like Randy when he'll just look at the camera like, "Are we cut?" Like, no, she like, yeah, she's next level. Mind of Z, I'm gonna be funny. Wait, why isn't Wrestler of the Year going to be Nia Jax? Woo! Tony's got no love for Nia Jax because literally one time during the Royal Rumble, Chicken's like wild card point is if Nia Jax shows up at the Royal Rumble, just because fuck it. And Tony was a point like he was going to win by tie. Nia Jax comes down and like heartbreak. I got to see actual heartbreak in real time from one Tony G. But yes, so Women's Wrestler of the Year, undisputedly, undeniably, Rhea Ripley. And she's was runner-up for Women's Match of the Year. So not a bad year for one Rhea Ripley.
No, and Nia Jax is an absolute clown show. I can't believe they brought her back and she's still going. She injured Becky Lynch and inadvertently got her more over during her best run, and they just had a match the other day, and she hurt Becky Lynch again. Nia Jax is still one of the most unsafest pile of shit workers out there. She's just awful. She's awful. I don't care. Make any argument you want. Nia Jax is terrible and should not be employed. It's not good. There's nothing good about her at all. Terrible, awful, very. I would even say she's worse than Top Dollar.
Like the no good, terrible, awful, very bad day. Tony's like, she's the terrible, awful, no good, very bad wrestler. So yeah, Tony's not a fan. Not a fan. So Tony, moving on to men's wrestler. Oh God, Nia Jax is like Willow Nightingale.
Yep. Fact.
Nice. So, Tony, moving on to men's wrestler of the year.
All right. So,
Tony, I'm going to let you go first here.
This one's tough for me. I'll be frank, because there really wasn't there was a lot of people that deserve mentioning. Cody had a really good year, obviously. LA Knight had a banger of a year in terms of getting himself built back up and rebuilding himself. I absolutely love everything he did. Randy Orton coming back. You mentioned it right here. Mine to see Cody Rhodes, Eddie Kingston, or MJF. There's so many guys that have to be mentioned. Roman Reigns, when he showed up, is still like the final boss of any video game or movie. But it's not like Roman Reigns had a banner year. He was pretty scarce, even just to show up to promote whatever match they finally decided to put him in. MJF, on the other hand, had the belt basically all year. He was world champion most of the year, but that was spent essentially being Adam Cole's buddy, faking injury storylines until he finally did get actually hurt, doing tag team matches, and being a baby face. And he was the best true heel in the business, and Tony Khan decided to make him a baby face because he hadn't made any baby faces with the current roster he has. So it had to be MJF, and it essentially tanked his world title run, in my opinion. It ruined what could have been a spectacular first run for him. But even that being said, the fact that MJF was able to take chicken shit and turn it into what represents chicken salad. Take that babyface run, that friendship with Adam Cole, the whole Devil's storyline, as ridiculous as I think it got at points, and the very, very obvious conclusion. I think MJF put in the best work of anybody in 2023. He was the most committed, and he was the best pure wrestler of 2023. So my vote is going to be for MJF, in spite of its booking.
So your vote for Wrestler of the Year of 2023 is Maxwell Jacob Friedman.
Yes.
Tony, it pains me to do this. It really does. But the real Men's Wrestler of the Year of 2024.
If you say Orange Cassidy, I'm going to kick you in the sack. All right. That's not hyperbole. I'm going to kick you in the sack.
Okay. No, it was going to be Danhausen again, but no. It's just... I've just been trolling you with Danhausen all night. But no, in reality, though, it is the one who cannot be denied. It is the one who has been the true final boss of professional wrestling, the one who has put down all others, the one who has brought to shame all other houses of the professional wrestling universe, the one who has made WrestleMania his home, the one who has made WrestleMania his yard, the head of the table, the one who runs the bloodline, the one, the only, Roman Reigns. Yes, Roman Reigns, Men's Wrestler of the Year, one of the longest winning streaks, one of the longest title reigns in modern history, and we are seeing it now. Roman Sammartino, dread it, run from it, but Roman Sammartino arrives all the same. So yes, Roman Reigns, he's going to be your tribal chief through 2023, and he's going to be your tribal chief through 2024 as well, folks. Bill K.O.E. called it. You heard it here first, folks. Tony?
Mind to Z points out, he had like 5 matches. And funny you should say that, Mind to Z. I was actually going to go ahead and just recap, because I actually anticipated Phil's pick. So let's just go ahead and take a real quick look at Roman Reigns' year.
I got CM Punk as Wrestler of the Year. The wrestling media buried the man, left him for dead. He opened Wembley, closed out Survivor Series, sold out Madison Square Garden. The man is feeling money despite media. Oh, man.
Yeah, so exactly. See, Mind to Z felt it before he even said it, Phil. All right, so let's just recap Roman Reigns' year. I've got this right here. In Elimination Chamber in February, defeats Sami Zayn. Great match. WWE Live Road to WrestleMania Super Show. He defeated Sami Zayn, which is the same exact match, obviously. WrestleMania Night 2, he defeats Rhodes. Night of Champions in May, defeats
Cody Rhodes. Hang on, Tony. Night 2 of WrestleMania, Roman Reigns single-handedly, fair and square, puts down Cody Rhodes. T. Okay, basically with one hand tied behind his back, just to make it fair. Roman Reigns, fair and square, puts down Cody Rhodes at Mania.
So, then at Night of Champions, not for his belt that he barely ever shows up or defends, Owens and Zayn he defeats. So then we had a live super show. That was Roman versus Rey Mysterio that nobody saw. Money in the Bank, Jimmy and Jay defeated Roman and Solo. So that's 2 tag team matches, 2 losses. Two Roman Reigns matches in 2023, 2 losses.
Because the other side was just being no good, cheating, low down, dirty cheaters, Tony. Something Roman Reigns wouldn't know nothing about, okay? Because he's a fighting champion.
Jimmy and Jay beat Reigns and Solo. Solo ate the pin both times, but still a loss for Roman. Then when Ray loses to Roman, then at SummerSlam finally, Roman beats Jay. We've seen that a lot.
Banner match. Everyone loved it.
It was fine. It was a good match.
Roman walked around yelling at his cousin for 35 minutes.
Then at another super show that nobody watched, Roman defeated Sammy again. And then at Crown Jewel in November, Roman defeated LA Knight. Not exactly a banner year for one Roman Reigns. Now, I don't know. Should we look at the other option that I gave you in MJF, who I wasn't even like severely impressed with in terms of how he was booked, but in spite of it, I just wanted to take a look quickly at MJF.
No, T, we don't need to, parse into details all that deeply.
Right. I don't know. It's such a longer list. There's so many more matches.
Roman's more about quantity over quality.
Let me take a drink before I start on this. MJF defeats Konosuke Take a Shit in February. 60-minute Iron Man match. MJF defeats Bryan Danielson in March. April, May. Darby Allin and Jack Perry defeated MJF and Sammy Guevara. That was a fun match. Then also that
lost to Jungle Boy and Darby? Ooh, that counts against. If you're holding those tag team losses against Roman, fucking MJF doing the job to Darby and Jungle Boy.
Guevara ate the pin, just like Roman didn't eat the pin.
Oh, okay. Okay. Just wanted to point that out, folks.
Somebody called Leo Sparrow. I don't know who or what that is. World title 4-way. MJF defeated Darby, Jack, and Sammy. So got that win back. Title eliminator, Adam Cole versus MJF went to a time limit draw. Great match. Then MJF defeated Hiroshi Tanahashi. And then he defeated Even Page. Then he defeated Kip Morse. Then MJF and Adam Cole defeat Matt Menard and the Butcher. Then Adam Cole and MJF defeat Big Bill and Brian Cage. Then Adam Cole and MJF defeated the Jericho Appreciation Society on their farewell tour. Then
did they have to sign an NDA for that match?
More than likely. Then FTR defeated Adam Cole and MJF in a fantastic match.
Could help myself.
The tag team of the year defeats MJF and Adam Cole. That was a great one. Then they were able to defeat Aussie Open in a really good match. MJF defeated Adam Cole that was AEW All In London. That was a fucking great match. Ring of Honor World Tag Team title, Better Than You, baby. Adam Cole and MJF defeat the Dark Order. Then at World Title, defeats Samoa Joe by referee's decision. Then 2-on-1 handicap. MJF defeats the Righteous for the Ring of Honor World Title. Two guys to defend the world titles of Ring of Honor. He defeats them 2-on-1. MJF defeats Juice Robinson for the Diamond Dynamite Ring final. Then MJF defeats Kenny Omega for the world title. Again, Bullet Club Gold defeated.
What month are we in?
MJF and the Acclaim. Now we're in November. Or no, are we? Yep, finally November. Then MJF defeated.
Oh, surely he's got to be done.
Then MJF and Samoa Joe defeated the Guns. Then MJF defeated Jay White. We had our gripes with that match, but it was still a decent enough match. Then the Devil's Mask Men defeated MJF, and they lost the titles there. And then Samoa Joe defeats MJF for the world title at World's End, ending his year-long reign as champion. MJF. Holy crap. That was a long list of amazing matches. Just absolutely brilliant. Good stuff.
Walrad's, Mind of Z, and Power, if you're still with us. Curious, we got two very, very worthy contenders here in Maxwell Jacob Friedman or the Tribal Chief. You know who the real head of the table is, folks. You know that you need to make that right vote for Roman Reigns. Come on. I know he maybe wasn't there every week, but when Brock Lesnar was on top, he was still the main attraction. He was still the big guy. He was still the Roman is carrying not only Hulk's boots, but he's also carrying Andre's boots now. And so that's something you got to take into account when you look into this. Mind of Z, ooh, that's painful. I'm a vote for my scumbag Maxwell Jacob Friedman.
So look,
there's also a reason I'm not saying my nominees for match of the year because that'll. Oh, hang on. Wallrats. MJF ran the train off the tracks this year. He deserves no awards. If I had to choose between the two, the Tribal Chief only needed 5 matches. Not a Christmas list. That was just so we got Wallrats going for the Tribal Chief. Mind of Z, because MJF is better than Roman, and you know it. Oh, man, Wallrats is backstage work better than MJF, and MJF knows it. Oh, we got some fire getting thrown in the comments. And Power, if you're still with us to break this deadlock, we would really appreciate. But
again, I'm going to reiterate, I didn't love how MJF was used in 2023. I didn't love it. I didn't love the babyface run. He needed to be a heel. He needed to be a dick. But it was in spite of that booking, he was still able to put together a bunch of good matches, have a good year, and excel at doing it, even though he was handed a really bad storyline most of the time.
This was going to be unanimous, not coming down to the wire here on men's wrestler of the year. But, well,
like Roman had some good matches. Absolutely.
While we wait on that, let's come back to that here in a moment, T, because that right now, that's question mark, but we're going to come back to that. It's down to MJF or Roman. Squirrels on my roof. But I just heard it. But anyways, between MJF, Roman, let's move on to match of the year.
Well,
because this might
there's
help.
Actually something we need to go over. So I 2023 was actually a pretty rough year in terms of losing some wrestlers, and I think we need to recap.
Yes. So
before
we get to match of the year or name wrestler of the year.
What's that? Votes for who is the men's wrestler of the year in the comments, folks, as we recap some of those we lost in 2023. We lost Mantar. This was a bad gimmick back in the day, but this was one of the
one we all remembered.
Yeah, everybody remembers it.
Oh, man.
We lost Jerry Jarrett, for God's sake.
The guy who gave us Lawler versus Kaufman.
Good Lord. Jerry. Yeah. That alone. Such an iconic piece of business.
And if Vince ended up going to prison, this is the guy who was going to take over. Like, a lot of people don't know that. If Vince did end up actually going to prison, oh, man, Lanny Poffo. So the Macho Brothers are truly no longer with us. Yeah,
unfortunate. God. Draws. My God. This was one of those tragedies we all remember from the Attitude Era. We all remember when he got hurt, got put in the wheelchair, and yeah.
Yeah, that hurts. That hurts on a different level.
Bushwhacker Bush. I love the Bushwhackers so much. They just
do it with me, T.
They stood out. Huh?
Do it with me, T.
Sorry. Of course.
And they kind of resisted that at first, but this is the thing they will be remembered for into all history. The dudes who did this. The sheep herders.
Billy Graham. Billy Graham, huge
Ooh,
megastar.
Walrads, Wrestling, Death of the Year, the Iron Sheik. I don't
I don't
know.
know if
Billy
we're
Graham's
gonna
up there.
award one, but I
Yeah,
have
I
my.
don't know. I don't know if that was what they were after. Like, fuck you. I want the award. And speaking of
Almost,
which,
yeah.
the Iron Sheik. Let me tell you
He's a real
something. Iron
luchador.
Sheik, a real luchador. And Walrads, maybe
Oh,
Jeff Jarrett. Oh man, God Almighty.
This one hurt. Jay Briscoe.
Jay Briscoe.
Right after having a amazing trilogy of matches with FTR, younger guy. This was heartbreaking. Taken in a car crash from his family, from his brother, just awful. This one hurt a lot. Awful stuff.
God Almighty, God Almighty. So
this one hurt.
Yeah, I'd say me personally, this one was probably one of the most painful. Just because, now, granted, we all kind of knew it was coming, but it's the legend.
Yeah, this was
it's
one
Terry.
you saw coming, and it didn't matter because this guy was just a staple of always kind of being there. He was such a legend of the business.
And like, I mean, he's a connection to the pre-NWA days. I mean, like, this guy was like a walking history wall.
He had a signature on every era, it felt like. And we'll miss you, Terry.
And talk about Jay Briscoe seemed like a family man. That's the one thing that's terrible is like all these people who die, you find out they're just some of the nicest people that have ever been. Walrads, do you guys remember seeing that picture of him and Mick Foley at the retirement home? That Bray Wyatt.
This one
that was what the fuck.
Nobody saw this coming.
Bray, least of all.
It felt so surreal that a guy who was able to reinvent himself so spectacularly and was trying to do it again, and then unexpectedly out of nowhere.
And like just so many things that we Walrads got it right. Ugh. That's pain. That's pain. So any more? Is that it? Please tell me that's it.
And I hope that's it. Yeah, that was it.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. God Almighty. So, T, all y'all, to the sound of my voice, raise a glass, a cup, a chalice, a tankard, a can, a stein, a jug, a flask, a gourd, a vessel of any kind, and raise it, whatever liquid you may have, to these amazing people that entertained us and were such an interesting and indelible part of our lives. God bless all y'all. Travel well. Godspeed.
Tremendous losses across the board.
Yeah. Like Terry was the one that hurt me the most, but Bray was the one that shocked me the most. And now, T, we're gonna move on to match. First, and he has a father who's in the business who had to contact people about this. A father had to. Rads, you never know in what order the Lord's going to call everybody home. So, yeah, trust me. But anyways, T, moving onward and upward to match of the year. I suspect this one's going to be a little more uniform, but maybe I'm wrong. I'm going to let you go first here.
For me, this one's pretty simple. I mentioned it already across when we were going over the male wrestler of the year resumes, but for me, it's not even close because this one, to me, felt like the most professional wrestling spectacle that I saw all year, and it was pretty early on in the year. MJF, Bryan Danielson, 60-minute Iron Man match. These guys were able to get so much in and do so much wrestling and have so many spots. They had the crowd from start to finish. They had the false finishes. They had the surprises. And the right guy goes over in the end in what is a 60-minute match, but didn't feel anywhere close to that. Some of these matches that go a long time, you're like, man, when will this thing end? I watched 60 minutes of this and I wanted more. They
found a way to make that's the hardest part is how do you make the first half hour compelling?
Yeah.
And they found a way to do that. And then because they made the first half hour so compelling, it just snowballed and cascaded. So, all right. So, T, anything else you'd like to say about this match?
No, this was just peak MJF, still not having to try to become a baby face. He was still a dick heel. This was Danielson at his best. And I mean, they even got some of the campy shit in, like you're seeing here in the picture, doing tables. And that's fine in a match like this. You've got to fill an hour. I have no problem with it here. But man, they looked great. Their cardio was unmatched here. They were able to turn it on and keep it going throughout the entire thing. And again, I didn't get tired. I just wanted more and more and more.
Oh, no. Mind of Z. Tony had nothing to do with this. It was MJF and Bryan Danielson that made this interesting.
Tony Khan, Phil. Tony Khan.
I know. He's talking about Tony Khan.
Okay. Not me.
Okay. Now, Tony.
If I had my say, it would have gone 2 hours. But I digress.
I'm going to go ahead and say that the match of the year is one that cannot be denied, cannot be disputed. It's not one that you generally think of immediately when you think of this year, and it's one that's definitely worth your consideration. And that's Private Party versus Hookhausen, and that's
Why? Just why? What the fuck is wrong with you? What the fuck is wrong with you?
I'm sorry. Mind of Z was going Roman versus Cody, presume it? No?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, you would think, right?
Well, I mean, it was our tribal chief.
God damn.
Now, my personal, the match that gave me the most personal enjoyment was Roman versus Cody, because I was the only one that bet on our tribal chief, and it was what allowed me to win WrestleMania and become the Revolutionary Wrestling Podcast champion. And I was right, and I got to shove it in Tony and Chicken's face. And Tony, as you know, I feel K.O.E. always humble in victory.
Where's that belt?
Right now, it's coming home.
15-time Revolutionary Wrestling Podcast.
It's coming home, worry not.
Not over there.
But my pick for match of the year is I have really no choice but to pick MJF versus Bryan Danielson, the 60-minute Iron Man match, as the match of the year. This is not recency bias because this is early on in the year. Yeah. There just hasn't been a singles match like this the entire year. MJF showed that he can really compete and work at the highest of levels. And this was kind of his coming out party, if you will. Like, sure, we all kind of liked him, but this was the moment he kind of came into his own. So This is, beyond a shadow of a doubt, the match of the year. MJF versus Bryan Danielson, 60-minute Iron Man match. And as Mind of Z, I'm curious, do you or Walrads, anybody, got anything that can counter this particular match? I would like to hear what even your runner-up would be, but it's got to be this. Match of the year, MJF versus Danielson, Iron Man match. So, T, that's a big decider there. That's a big factor. Now, coming back to Wrestler of the Year, though.
Yes, we've got to decide this one way or another.
I mean, MJF's already gotten his honor, so clearly you want the tribal chief to, because he needs it, Tony.
So if we've already decided that MJF had the match of the year and had 3 times as many matches as Roman Reigns, what really is there left to argue over?
Well, right now,
MJF is the best wrestler, right?
I'm curious, Walrads, if you're still with us. I don't think he is, actually. Looks like Mind of Z is agreeing with you, T. That's MJF, and I think him taking match of the year does give him the extra point that he needs. I don't like it because it's really the tribal chief, and you're really just wanting to withhold because you don't want to give the tribal chief his right and just honor. You don't want to give him his right due.
Was he not Wrestler of the Year 2022?
He might have been, but he's also should be.
You can't remember because it's just Roman wins. LOL.
I believe he was, but I didn't watch last year's episode before we came on. Sheesh. Walrads, off the back of Roman, the WWE had its most successful year. I can't say the name for MJF. It has to be Roman if you're choosing between. Oh, Walrads comes back at the last second, man. Oh, that is interesting. That is interesting. Oh, my goodness. Now, we'll see if we get any more comments that come in to give us the final deciding vote. It could happen. We'll see. But once we have a final definitive, see, K.O.E Nation is like Roman. It's got to be Roman. Come on now. Tony's going to his Tony Man 420 or whatever account.
Really, Phil? You going that route? You going that route, huh?
Because I mean, come on, Tony.
Look at this. Mind of Z says MJF. Mind of Z says MJF. Mind of Z says MJF. The Big Bucket Empire says MJF. Tantui 10 Man
says Roman.
Roman. All right, who else we got?
Tony and I are going through all our alt accounts. It's like, all right, there's got to be a way. This is actually a little funny. I got to admit. Like, no, there's got to be a way. Fuck you. I'm going to get it.
Well, who we got here? MFJ. He means MJF. That's okay. Who else we got coming up? Mind of Miz says MJF. Absolutely. Oh, look at this. Striker G says MJF. Good choice. Good choice.
Oh, love it. Striker G.
Absolutely.
Now, Tony, this is pretty ceiling. The Revolutionary Wrestling Podcast itself made a vote for Roman.
What the hell?
Thank you, Sexy Pina. She votes Roman. So, Tony, I'm sorry, but I mean, we're getting inundated with Roman votes. Hazard Analysis is voting him.
MJF votes.
I think Mind of Z might have voted multiple times here. I'm not sure.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, Jim Powers, Roman too.
Zach says MJF.
Tony G says MJF. This is folks. How are we going to be able to keep up here? But Jim Powers, you philosopher king. Sexy Pina, you philosopher queen. Revolutionary Wrestling Podcast, you philosopher king. Tantui 10 Man, one of the most dead, sexy, handsome philosopher kings in all God's creation. God. RXW, MJF, and X, Sal Palermo, definitely guys, this is Big Bucket Empire. Max JF, guys, this is getting hard to keep up with here, folks. We keep getting votes one way or the other, and the other way, and the other, and the other. Goodness gracious, folks, this has been democracy in action here. So, Tony Therod, Max Freeman.
Absolutely. Good choice. Good choice.
All right, we're gonna wait for any late voting to see if we can get any more. Uh oh. Sir Johnny,
Maxwell.
long time, first time, but Roman. Thank you. Tony, go down, Maxwell. The mind of Z. What about third party and say Moxley?
No. No. No.
Grip paranormal, MJ. Really,
Absolutely.
Tony?
Good choice, Grip.
Really? Fucking really? Grip
Good
paranormal.
choice.
Bringing that in, are we? Wow. Mind of Z, MJF.
A lot of votes here.
Living room, no Roman, MJF.
Yes.
The living room. The
Yes.
living room YouTube channel.
Yes.
I wonder whose living room that is.
I don't know, but they picked correctly.
City Lights. Oh, yeah. Thank you, City Lights. You philosopher king or queen. The fuck?
You want to start tallying these votes up?
I think there's the mind of Z. I think there's more MJF than Roman. Sorry, Phil.
See, yep, I agree. There definitely is.
This is well. Hang on. Let's tally. Tony, you got the paper, don't you?
No, I don't. I was hoping you were keeping track.
Well, you got paper in front of you, I'm sure, because I know you have to.
No, I don't, Phil.
Well, I'm just gonna start reading off votes. Hopefully, you start writing them down. 1 for MJF, 2 for MJF, 1 for Roman, 3 for MJF, 4 for MJF, 5 for MJF, 2 for Roman, 3 for Roman, 6 for MJF, 4 for Roman. Yeah, there's a lot more fucking MJF here, guys. I don't know how else to.
Weird.
I don't know how we arrived at so much MJF. Wait, I don't know who. Kuya Cool Milsu Roman Reigns.
Come on. Need a few more MJF picks. We got one. Keith Robbins says Roman, yes, for sure.
Yes, thank you, Keith.
No.
I think that actually brought us back together. T,
no.
You got a pen and paper handy?
No. Don't.
God, you suck.
I'm working on it. All right, here we go.
All right. Mind to Z went MJF. Big Bucket went MJF. Phil K.O.E. went Roman. Tantui 10 Man went Roman. The Dog and Chicken Show went MJF.
Mm-hmm.
Striker G went MJF.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Revolutionary Wrestling Podcast went Roman.
That's crazy.
Sexy Pina went Roman. Hazard Analysis went MJF. Jimmy Powers went Roman.
5-5 currently.
Zach Krauser went MJF.
Good choice.
Tony G went MJF.
Good choice.
RXW went MJF.
Good choice.
Sal Pomero went Roman.
No.
Big Buckin went MJF.
Okay.
Tony The Rod went Max Freeman. So I don't know if that's
good choice.
Sir Johnny went long time, first time, but Roman.
Okay.
Tony Go Down went Maxwell. Grip Paranormal went MJF.
Okay.
Mind of Z trying to vote again, but now Living Room went no Roman MJ. So it says Roman first. So I think that's
clearly MJF.
City Lights goes, oh yeah, Roman Reigns. Kuya Cool Mulso goes Roman Reigns.
Okay.
Keith Robbins goes Roman Reigns. Lalaine votes for Roman Reigns. And Walrads goes, wow, Roman has a lot of votes, so he did say the word Roman.
Well, we're at 12-12.
Walrads, who you voting for, man? It's kind of you're a little essential here now. Roman, or I think he's voting Roman. I think we've covered this. He's voting Roman this year.
You already counted him.
No, I haven't counted him yet.
You did? Oh,
no.
Come on.
I was like, fuck you. No, I started before I got Walrads. And so fuck. Walrads might be like, Walrads, are you sticking with your vote for Roman?
How many singles matches did Roman have that actually defended his title? He lost 2 matches, and neither one of them were singles match. They were both tag matches. He didn't even defend the title. Come on.
Walrads, we're counting on you, because I can scroll up and find his vote, but we would love for him to confirm one more time, because Walrad said at 4:24, a mere 10 minutes ago. Off the back of Roman, the WWE has had its most successful year. I can't say the same for MJF. It has to be Roman if you're choosing between the two. So Tony, by the hair of his chinny chin chin, the wrestler of the year is Roman Reigns, and you will acknowledge him.
This is just ridiculous. Come on, folks. Roman or MJF? Who's the wrestler of the year?
Tony's wanting folks, you can put your votes in now. We're literally at a tie. Who do you want, Roman Reigns or MJF, to be the wrestler of the year, folks? This is your chance. So, Walrads, if we don't hear from you soon, we're just going to count your vote as is. Zach, I'm going to make sure you didn't vote a second time, sir, because... that would... Yes, you've already voted, Zach Cruiser. Bandit! Bandit! Oh! Bandit comes in for the save at the last minute. Oh, Bandit! He is given the point.
What?
To Roman
Get out of here,
Reigns. Bandit, you philosopher king, you. Yes, the wrestler of the year is now undisputedly, undeniably. Tony, I'm going to set a 2-minute timer. And if nobody comes in with any more votes at the end of this 2 minutes, then that is the official vote.
It's 14-13.
Yes. So, folks, if you have any other votes from somebody who hasn't voted already, Bandit, you beautiful bastard, you. And Walrads, we could get a clarification from you, too. But I think we already need to count him in the Roman. Zach's like, no, why would you do such a thing? But Bandit, you beautiful philosopher king, you. Yes, our tribal chief is Roman Reigns, and you will acknowledge him. Folks, this men's wrestler of the year between MJF and Roman, this is coming down to the wire. This is epic. This is the drama that you come here for, isn't it, folks?
Damn it.
Bandit, you beautiful bastard, you. We love you. We love you here. So, folks, we now have 1 minute left to get your votes in. And Tony's like, shit, I've used all my alt accounts. They've all been like, Tony's like, no, I'm sure I got 1 or 2 left. But no, T, let's let democracy win the day here. Okay, we're going to see, can Roman become wrestler of the year for 2023? The tribal chief reigning supreme. Is it possible, folks? Can it happen? Can the tribal chief win yet another award? Because Walrads for Roman Reigns. Walrads for Roman Reigns.
I already marked him.
Okay. Well, Reds for Roman, but he needed to clarify, and I'm glad that he did. And he did. And folks, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2.
Hang
1.
on. I had to step out for a second. Hang on.
Tony's not wanting to acknowledge.
No, I'm not gonna. Hang on. Just hang on. Chill out. Everything's fine.
Well, Reds. No 3 a.m. vote dumps. Alicia Milano. Tony, this was after.
MJF! 14.
Oh, Jesus. Tony. God. Okay. So this is where we're going now?
Yeah, I guess we're gonna have to go with Roman. God damn it. It's bullshit.
Grow the farm up.
You.
Comes
you.
in with a Roman.
Fuck you. All right, fine. Whatever.
Okay. By a grow the farm up.
This is so stupid.
The men's wrestler of the year is the tribal chief, Roman. Tony, not that you're bitter about it. Keith Robbins. This is a different Keith Robbins. Has the same name as the other Keith Robbins. I'm also voting, and I vote for Roman. Well, you know, Keith, we thank you. This is a new Keith Robbins tee, so that's another vote.
Well, I guess if it's a different person entirely,
there's some swing states that's good enough for.
Well, I can tell you this: Wrestler of the Year of 2024 will not be fucking Roman Reigns. I can guarantee it.
Oh, Tony, you're gonna hate me when I nominate him again because he's still the WWE Undisputed Universal Champion.
It's not gonna be Roman in 2024. I can promise you that.
You don't think so, T?
No.
You don't think it's gonna be one Roman Reigns? Why is that, T?
No, I don't. I don't think Roman's gonna.
Well, you realize he has not defeated Bruno Sammartino's record yet, though. So obviously, they can't take the belt off him yet.
And he's never going to beat Bruno Sammartino's record. So,
Tony, dread it, run from it. Roman Sammartino arrives all the same.
Something like that. Good try, though.
So, folks, this has been an amazing year in review where we've laughed, we've cried, we've all learned, we've all grown. And Tony, I believe this is a moment where there's something I'm looking forward to you doing. I don't know if you remember it, but do you remember writing a letter to yourself a year from now?
I didn't. Yeah, I couldn't find it though.
Oh, son of a biscuit. Because Tony wrote a bunch of predictions on a letter to himself that was to be opened up on this episode. So, Tony, I want you to write it again for next year, for the next year review prediction, and put it under your Glenfiddich on your top shelf.
Okay.
Somewhere where you know you'll be able to find it. So, folks, as I'm known to say around here, all that being said, thank you for joining us here at the Revolutionary Wrestling Podcast, year in review of 2023. Folks, I am your King of Extreme, Phil K.O.E., the man of the hour, the man with the power, the man makes you the podcast cower, the prince and potentate of the political parlance, the lord of the Scottish Highlands, and the one who will recapture the Revolutionary Wrestling Podcast Championship and become the tribal chief of all internet wrestling, your King of Extreme, Phil K.O.E. Folks, you can of course find me at K.O.E Nation on YouTube, TikTok, Twitch, and Twitter. I'm going to be going on live a little later this evening, but I'm going to put my feet up for a bit first. But folks, God bless every last one of you. I hope all of you make it back here to the next Revolutionary Wrestling Podcast Year in Review for 2024. Happy, healthy, much the wiser. Tony G, take it away.
Oh, yeah, Phil. Shut up. Anyway, this is Tony G, your 15-time Revolutionary Wrestling Podcast champion, looking to retain and hold the belt all year 2024. No, never mind what Phil tries to predict. There's your spoiler. I'll just pretty much be your champion all year. So the only way you can ensure that and watch me dominate all of 2024. So like, share, and subscribe to the Revolutionary Wrestling Podcast and all the Big Buckin' Empire podcasts and live streams at Linktree/Big Buckin'. Folks, thank you for joining us, and we will catch you very soon for our coverage, predictions, and review of the WWE Royal Rumble happening in like 3-ish weeks. Coming up very, very soon. So make sure you hit that notification button and subscribe to the Revolutionary Wrestling Podcast on YouTube and the Big Buckin' Empire on Facebook, so you can get notified when we go live to review the Royal Rumble. It's going to be a good one. Cannot wait to see it, and cannot wait to see you there, folks. Thanks again for joining us, and we will see you very, very soon. Coming up. Can't wait. Always a pleasure to have you. Thanks again.
And see if it just smooths itself out.
Back, tell you what I'll do. If I ever get back, I promise to refabricate you, raging rivers of gold. That's what the brochure advertised. And now we're lost, we gotta take it down. Let you down slow, it's hard to survive.